Welcome to the PI Guy Case Studies and Lessons Learned. My name is John Morris. I am a licensed professional private investigator. Would you like some quick tips on conducting surveillance in cold weather, like the cold weather that's going to be coming up here pretty soon in winter? Well, hang on. That's exactly what we are going to cover in this week's Case Study and Lessons Learned video. First, tell me, what was the most challenging surveillance you ever had while conducting surveillance in cold weather? Go down below. Put that in the comments and let me know. And while you're down there, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. That really helps the PI Guy channel out a lot. Now, today's case study involves another injured worker claim. The claimant in this one had work limitations of 5 pounds lifting, 5 pounds pushing or pulling, no standing for more than 15 minutes. His claim was a back injury due to excessive lifting at work. Fairly typical, fairly straightforward, nothing really special about this one. Well, except the claimant's superpowers, which I observed and I captured on video. We'll discuss that here in just a few minutes. Now, the setup is a standard residential neighborhood. The claimant's residence had a little porch out front. I arrived the first day of a 2-day surveillance. I observed multiple vehicles there owned by him and his wife. During a routine walk by, and I usually do these when I show up early to gather some intel, I observed 2 chairs on the front porch and a little table with an ashtray on it. Bingo! As all surveillance investigators will attest, having a subject who smokes is great for our cases. We are almost guaranteed video at some level during that surveillance. Across the street from the residence was a small parking lot for a small grocery store. This made the setup totally ideal. I could actually park on the street in close proximity to the residence and the store and not stand out at all. Or if I chose, I could use the parking lot for the grocery store. Now, the store was not open, and there were no vehicles in the parking lot, but there were plenty on the street, so that's where I started. I was down a few houses from the subject residence and across the street where I could black out my vehicle and maintain visual contact of the front porch and the vehicles. Perfect! I love it when a plan comes together. A little after I got set up, I see lights go on in the house. Now it's December and it's cold outside. I think it was probably in the low 20s that day. And we had about an inch or two of fresh snow on top of packed snow. The forecast was for heavier snow that afternoon going into the next day. Bingo again. Snow can be great for injury claim cases. Many times I will see my subjects outside shoveling snow, cleaning off their vehicles. This is excellent video to get on these types of cases. Snowy roads also can help to a point on mobile surveillance, as people tend to not drive as fast. It can also, however, hinder mobile surveillance due to the dangers of driving on slippery surfaces. Now, you won't believe what the subject did when he came outside that morning. Go down below and hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. That really helps the channel out a lot. Now, about 20 minutes after the lights go on, the front door opens up and out steps the subject's wife. She starts sweeping off the porch area. She cleans off the little table. She cleans off the chair. She grabs the ashtray and she goes back inside. A few moments later, she comes back outside. She sets the ashtray back on the table along with a cup of coffee, and she sits down in one of those chairs. Now, she is dressed in a robe and slippers. And I'm thinking, man, it's got to be cold sitting there. She must really be jonesing for that smoke. But then, much to my belief, here comes the claimant. He walks out the door with a cup of coffee in his hand, a cigarette in his mouth, and he's wearing a robe and slippers too. And I'm like, well, it must just be a family thing that I don't understand. They sat there for about 5 minutes smoking. Then a pipe comes out. Yep, he pulls out a little metal pipe. Looks like it has a skull at the end of it. He lights it. He takes a couple of deep hits. He passes it on to his wife. They exchange the pipe a few times, and then they're back inside the house. Okay, this is going to be a fun one, I tell myself. I have good video already and not even 2 hours into the day, and I think I understand why they might have thought it was a good thing to sit outside in 20-degree weather wearing a robe and slippers. Another hour goes by, then I see the wife exit the house. She goes to a car, she starts it up, she goes back inside. This time she's dressed in jeans and a winter coat, a little bit warmer. A few moments go by, then her and her husband, the claimant, walk back out, have another cigarette, share the pipe a few more times, then she goes and gets in the car and she exits the neighborhood. Okay, now I know that chances are the claimant is the only one at home, so any activity I observe is probably him. The neighborhood starts to get active. People are coming out, they're starting their cars, they're warming their cars, they're heading off to work, and I see the little grocery store open up. Then suddenly I see the claimant. He's exiting the front door of the residence. I'm like, here we go. He walks out towards the other two vehicles on the street. He opens the door of a four-door sedan sitting there. He reaches inside and he grabs something. Then he closes the door and he starts walking across the street towards the little grocery store. Great. He's on foot. I waited until he got around the corner of the grocery store. I figured he was either going to the convenience store on the other side of the grocery store or to the grocery store. Once he rounds the corner, I hop out of my car with my trusty covert camera and I head out on foot surveillance. Now the covert camera that I use has a screen on it so I can see the video that I'm shooting as well. I can start and stop the recording and I can take still photos. This one here is actually a phone case. The covert camera shoots video right out the top here, and I purchased an old iPhone 6 that pops right into this case. Then I can use the Wi-Fi on that to run the camera and video and see the camera and the video. Now the camera I was using that particular day was an older version of this. It was all one unit, but it worked very much the same. I'm going to go ahead and leave down below a link for this. It's an affiliate link for this camera if you want to check it out and take a look at it. Now, if you decide to buy it, it is an affiliate link. In all disclosure, I do make a wee little bit of money off of that. Now, when I get to the corner, I'm not sure where he is. So I just stand at the corner and I use my phone camera like this, pointing backwards sort of. So it's like a rear view mirror. Then I can see him walking past the entrance of the grocery store and he's continuing on toward the convenience store, so I know where he's going. Now, you won't believe what happened when I got to the convenience store. Go down below right now, click that thumbs up, and click on that subscribe button for me. Now, normally, I don't follow a subject into a small store like a convenience store. They're just too small, they're too easy to get made in, and usually your subject will only be in there for a very short period of time. As I approached the front of the store, I saw my subject standing and talking to a clerk over by the coffee pots. So I just did the old 180. I pointed my camera back behind me again as I was able to get some video of him as he stood there talking with that clerk. Now, because I wasn't facing him, I really had no idea what was really going on. I didn't want to move too often and mess up the video that I was getting. So I just decided to stand there still, camera in one hand, grabbing video of who knows what. I'm blowing into the other hand to try to keep it warm. A few minutes go by. It seemed like an eternity. Then my subject exits the store. He's got a large coffee and a box of donuts. He walks right past me, looks me in the eye like, dude, what are you doing standing here freezing? Yeah, I questioned my own sanity at that point too. But guess what? Now he walked past me. I can switch my camera over to the other hand, grabbing video, and then I can blow into my frozen hand and warm it up. After he rounds the corner, I go back to foot surveillance, but instead of walking past the front of the grocery store, I walk across the street so I'll be a little farther away from his house just in case he's outside smoking. And yep, as I walk down the street, I see him sitting there on the front porch smoking and drinking his coffee. So I walk past at a distance, and then I go all the way around the block. When I get back to my car, he's no longer out on the front porch, so I can hop into my car and I can start it up and I can get warmed up just a little bit. Now I decided to move to the grocery store parking lot as it was easier to sit there and see the front porch the rest of the day. For the rest of the day, it was pretty boring. He came out about every 90 minutes and he smoked some of his cigarettes and he smoked a little from his pipe and then he would go back inside. Day 2 rolls around. The next day I headed out. I was a little worried. There was more snow coming down and we're supposed to get about another 6 inches. You have to be careful on winter surveillance, folks. If you park on the street during a snowstorm and you never move, you might get stuck when you go to leave at the end of the day. Now, I left a little early to make sure that I could get a good observation position. As well, I like to use my car to pack down the snow around where I'm going to be parking. I also like to have some time for some fresh snow to get on my car so I don't have the only car without snow on it. I usually park my car inside the garage at the house, but if I'm going out on a surveillance on a snowy day, I may park in the driveway so my car has some snow accumulation on it when I get out there. Now I get all set up and like clockwork, the wife and my subject come out for their morning coffee and their smokes. This time though, they were dressed a little bit warmer. When the wife comes out to start her car to go to work though, the car will not start. The claimant comes out and tries, and yeah, he can't get it to start either. He opens the hood and he wiggles some things and he jiggles some things and he cannot get it to start. He then goes over to another car. He opens up the trunk. He grabs some jumper cables and he brings them over and he sets them down by his wife's car. Now, The truly unbelievable part is coming right up. Go down below, hit that thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button for me. That really helps the PI Guy channel out a lot. Now next, he walks over to the other car, opens the driver's side door, he hops inside, and nope, it won't start. He hops out, he opens the hood, he does some jiggling, he does some wiggling, he hops back in, nope, he can't get it to start. He goes back inside the house, and then he and his wife come back out a few minutes later, and they go over to that second car. He has a shovel in his hand. He then starts to shovel away about 5 or 6 feet of some of the snow in front of that vehicle's tires. Now, this is an older car, maybe 20 years old, and it's seen better days. After shoveling some snow, he and his wife get behind that car, and they start pushing that car with all their might. They get it going slowly, then he runs over to the driver's side. They get it rolling a little bit. He jumps inside, and he pops it into gear, and he tries to get it to start. Yep, it's a manual transmission, and he's doing the old push-start routine on it, ever so slowly. They do this a couple of times, and then I see a neighbor come out to help them like it was a regular thing that just happens all the time. Everybody knew exactly what to do. The wife gets in the driver's seat, the subject and the neighbor get to pushing the car. She tries to start it a couple times to no avail, but then they get to the crest of the road. There's a little downslope, and they can get it started as they go down there. Completely blew me away. I'm getting video of the entire thing, and I have the best seats in the house. They went right past my car doing this. It was so hard for me not to bust out laughing while they were standing right there outside my window discussing strategies. He then gets the car, turned around, pulls it in front of his wife's car, jumps her car, gets it started, then she goes off to work, and he goes back inside the residence. He went to the convenience store, like clockwork again. This time I stayed in my car, I parked across the street and got my video, then back to his house where I got him smoking on his regular schedule for the remainder of the day. Lesson number 1, folks, always be prepared for what you never thought might happen. Rarely does a subject leave on foot from home, but when it does, it can be interesting. I had scoped out the neighborhood, so I knew what was within walking distance of that house. Lesson number 2, stay hidden and calm in your car. This was ultra crazy to be shooting video with them literally standing right next to my car. I had my blackouts up with my little peepholes to shoot video out of, but I also used an extra shirt that I put over the camera screen to hide the light from the camera. I usually keep my screen pretty dim, but I knew as close as they were, there was a chance that they could see that light. Lesson number 3, be prepared for weather of any kind. By the time I was done for the day, I had been parked there for about 5 or 6 hours, and we had a lot of snow that day. Because I had packed it down, though, when I first got there, it was a little easier for me to pull out when it got to the end of the day. Hey, my ebook, Business Basics for Private Investigators, is still on sale for 99 cents just for a couple more days. I will leave a link down below in case you're interested in that. Hey, thanks, folks. Thanks for watching the PI Guy case studies and lessons learned. Remember, folks, stay safe out there.